So last time I counted down the top 5 most viewed blind spots of 2017, and as promised, I'm following up with a few thoughts about my own personal favourites and a little hint about what to expect in 2018. Hopefully by now regular viewers will know that the glass blind spot is a phenomenon where people consciously or unconsciously ignore relevant information because it would significantly undermine or detract from their preferred narrative. Some people genuinely won't see the massive fucking elephant in the middle of the room, while others will simply choose to ignore it, whatever the consequences. It is of course inevitable that even if the subject matters covered by the glass blind spot can often be very serious, there is a lot of humour to be had when pointing a spotlight on relatively blatant and often cringeworthy examples of willful ignorance. And sometimes the most effective way to disarm a bad idea is simply to poke fun at it, which is exactly what I attempted to do in the very first video I ever made for the glass blind spot, Shut Up Misogynist. How effective or funny it was is hardly up to you, but I certainly had fun making it. Domestic violence isn't a subject that immediately lends itself to comedy, unless you're anti-Beeb of course, but there is a relatively subtle joke at the heart of the truth about violence, which is my response to a gauntlet laid down by MP Jess Phillips in her book, Every Woman, One Woman's Truth, about speaking the truth. In it, she rather modestly describes herself as one of the go-to voices in the world on the subject of domestic violence, and then proceeds to set out a couple of extremely debatable facts about domestic violence in the United Kingdom. And so, as well as directly responding to the 5-point gauntlets that she set champions of male victims of domestic violence, I thought it would be fun to take her preferred spectrum of statistics at face value and use them to set out why I think that the UK government's approach to public policy making in this area is currently the most overt example of institutional sexism currently paid for by the British taxpayer. Timey-wimey, gendy-bendy matters of national importance is probably the most personal video I've done to date. It was put together very quickly after the announcement that a fictional hero and role model to millions of children with 55 years good standing was about to become a member of the transgender community. Like the very vast majority of Whovians, I certainly wish Jodie Whittaker the very best of success in her role as the world's favourite Time Lord. And this video serves as both a vicarious reenactment of some of my gut reactions to that announcement and one very long middle finger to every single judgy McJudger in the mainstream media who quickly determined that gut reactions like mine essentially amounted to a misogynistic hate crime.
It's all just... It's getting to the point where I'm just sick of hearing all of this debate on gender and diversity. It just doesn't... I feel like it won't feel like The Doctor if it's not, if it's not The Doctor. But I'm sure I'll get used to it. It's fine.
People feel inferior and they want to feel more, but they want to feel like better than other people at the same time, and I think that's just, I don't know, I don't think that's the right way to do things, but whatever.
At number 2 we have Come Dine With Me, which was planned as a Christmas Eve surprise to everyone who supported the glass blind spot so far. Unknowingly, an almost immediate copyright claim spoiled the fun for subscribers residing in the general vicinity of the North Atlantic European archipelago. Did I pronounce that right? Unfortunately, Channel 4 rejected my dispute that their copyrighted footage was used entirely and fairly for fair use purposes. Being informed that I risk a copyright strike if I appeal this decision, and I do think my hard work on this occasion does deserve a bigger audience. So for those of you living in that general vicinity who don't follow me on BitChute, all I'll say for now is watch this space. Which brings me to my personal number 1. Gotta cheat ever so slightly by saying it's the collection of videos that make up the Virtual Abuse series that cast a critical eye at some of the extraordinary claims about online misogyny, particularly those emanating from the high-profile supporters of the very politically loaded Reclaim the Internet campaign, which has been fronted by Labour's Yvette Cooper. So far I've examined the slightly muddled history of that campaign to date, some facts relevant to a traumatic dogpiling incident experienced by one of its champions, and the quite unbelievable claim that one of Yvette Cooper's own Labour colleagues has been subjected to torrents of rape and death threats on no less than 4 separate occasions, each time from one of 4 very specific and very political demographics. It's taken me much longer than I would have liked to complete the series, but I do this in my spare time and I'm more concerned with quality over quantity. Anyway, I'm pleased to report that the last 3 episodes are all at some stage of production, with what I consider to be the most important one ready to drop later this week. Online misogyny, data versus dogma. We'll consider the current available research on that subject from 2 very distinct perspectives. Among other things, I recount a discussion I had with one of the cross-party parliamentary champions of Reclaim the Internet, and a rather concerning discovery that I made about arguably one of the world's leading human rights watchdogs. So anyway, thanks again for watching and for your support. I'd love you to leave a comment telling me what sort of things you'd like to see the Glass Blind Spot covering in 2018. And remember, always, if you see an elephant, point at it.